Hello everybody. Matthew from therighttrader.com. Welcome to yet another amazing live stream. There is a lot to talk about today. The US stock market absolutely crumbled. Okay, we saw the Dow Jones alone down 1.5%, and for the S&P and the Nasdaq, it was even worse. The Nasdaq was down at one point over 3.5% today. And to be honest, I'm not convinced that this is the end of the drop. So I want to welcome everybody to the stream. We're going to be talking about any US stocks out there. Of course, we'll cover some of the bigger ones like Apple, etc. We saw absolute destruction in tech stocks. This includes, stocks like Nvidia. This is a stock that was already kind of on a downtrend. Now the drop is accelerating. So we're seeing this across the board. We're going to be talking about, can we get a bounce here? Just looking, for example, at the Nvidia chart, we are kind of hitting support. But the thing is, if we go back to my S&P chart, which is really what I want to be digging into in this video, and by the way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, okay? I'm doing this live stream for all of you, and if you let me know which stocks you want me to cover, that would help me out immensely, just because there's so many stocks out there, okay? I want to know which stocks I should target, and of course, we're going to talk about the general US stock market and the amount of, red that we saw today, okay? Because we may not be done with the downside yet. I made a video specifically on Tesla earlier today, but here we're talking about the overall stock market, and guess what? We have a very, very worrisome formation here, so we need to hope we get a bounce pretty soon, and by soon I literally mean like probably by the end of this week, okay? So at the recording of this video, we are currently Thursday, which means we basically only have a day left, right? We only have Friday to bounce, because if we don't, next week might be another very red week. It might even be more red than this week that we just had right here, okay? So I don't think anyone wants that. However, the way it's looking, okay, with the amount of downside that we're seeing, there's not necessarily a clear reason why we should get a bounce here. In fact, as we speak, okay, we have now officially closed below our support level that I had drawn out. So this, like I said, unless we bounce pretty much Friday, maybe Monday at the latest, but I'd say I'd give this maybe one more day, and it has to be a green day. So if Friday is not green and we don't bounce back above, $364, get back above this yellow horizontal support level that I drew, well, guess what? We basically lost our support level, and not only that, but we canceled on the S&P 500, okay? This is the SPY ETF that tracks the S&P 500. We will have canceled, if we drop any bit lower here, we will have canceled this double bottom formation. Now, we're still going to have these gaps, okay, that will need to be closed sooner or later. So that is something to look forward to, possibly, okay? The problem is, I can't say that with a straight face, because as I zoom out, you could see the potential pain ahead, okay? If you enjoy these videos, please support by smashing that like button. Also subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. Support this live stream and consider dropping a super chat. Now, as we get into this, okay, this is something that I had drawn out months ago, actually. Some of you may or may not have seen it before, but I think it's one of the most detailed analysis of the US stock market, more specifically the S&P 500, okay, which tracks the biggest 500 stocks in the US stock market. These are our support levels in terms of downside price targets, you could say, moving forward. So what exactly do I mean by that? Well, it's quite simple. You can see here that in the last several years, as many of you know, we have gone on one of the biggest bull markets in stock market history. This was heavily due to quantitative easing, etc., right? Now the Fed is pulling the plug. We're seeing massive rate hikes. We're seeing huge problems across macroeconomic, globally, governments, the UK government caved into quantitative easing, but now it's not seen as a support to the stock market. It's seen as a last-ditch and desperate attempt to try and stop this from absolutely collapsing, okay? And the problem is, when you have something that's gone up, so much, we're talking about the whole US stock market here, well, you're going to need some type of counteracting effect. In this case, it's going to be a pretty big pullback, if not a complete crash, to reset things to a more normal price, okay? And depending on how you see this going, this of course depends on what happens in the world, etc., but there is a price target here that I had put in, that's basically as low as 150 bucks. Okay. Now this would obviously be an absolutely disastrous thing. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying we're going to go that low, but just know that we've never actually come back and tested this level of breakout, right? So, you know, it's possible. I'd say more realistically, we could be looking at, if we're lucky, a move down to 300 on the SPY, but we could absolutely, if there's really going to be that much downside ahead, right? And keep in mind, yes, we fell quite a bit from the all-time high on the S&P 500, but we're only at a 23% drop, okay? What's not to say that we can't go more towards 40, even 50% downside, okay? Now, if we look back historically here, you can see that we have had not once, but twice on the chart, 50% pullbacks on the S&P 500. In fact, this one back in, 2008 was actually a little bit over 50%. So I don't want to hear that this is impossible, because you're seeing it right now on the chart. I'm drawing it. We actually fell quite a bit over 50% back in 2008. So this just goes to show you that right now, although it may seem like this is a great buying opportunity, whatever, we're down 23%. And yes, maybe on some individual stocks that might start to be the case already. But for the stock market as a whole, and if stocks like Apple start dumping like they have been, okay, I mean, here we're talking about the stock market dropping with no support in sight, right? I mean, that's what's happening to a lot of stocks out there, like Meta, etc. I'm even surprised by it myself, because we haven't seen this type of stuff in forever. And we just got a super chat. Thank you so much for the support, Wilhelm. Thank you so much for being a regular viewer as well. He's saying, thanks for the wider market coverage. Unlikely we will see crypto move until stocks recover. That's what I've been saying, and we're going to talk about that later in this video real quick. But surprisingly, stocks have been holding, crypto have been holding up pretty well throughout this little stock market crash today. So we're going to see if that continues. Yes, it is a bit unlikely, but it is something to keep in mind. You need to ask yourself the question, why are stocks holding up right now when this was a disastrous day, one of the worst days we've seen yet in the stock market? Okay, we haven't seen big stocks like Apple fall like they have today. Apple just got downgraded, okay, and this was a serious downgrade. Apple almost never gets downgraded like this. This is one of the first time in years, okay? And Bank of America said that they're changing their rating from buy to neutral, which means they are not recommending, Bank of America is not recommending Apple as a buy anymore. Okay, so I just want you to realize what that means. When we've been pumping for years now, Apple has been one of the leaders in this pump, okay? And now one of the biggest banks in the US is coming out and saying it's not a buy anymore. They're holding it at a neutral rating. So just think about what that means. And once again, thank you so much to Wilhelm Leibniz for supporting the live stream. You can all thank him as well. Supports like that of super chats and donation help me to continue doing these live streams for you as regularly as possible. I don't want to go hiding in a corner like other crypto YouTubers or stock market YouTubers. In fact, most of what I've seen is people have gone completely dark during this market drop, okay? And that's not what I'm about, as you all know. So hopefully you appreciate that. And if you do, hit that like button and also subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to not miss those live streams. But let's go back to our S&P 500 chart here, because this is going to be the absolute clearest chart to give us details on what might happen moving forward. Okay, now I want to also go back to the COVID drop. This is this drop for right here for people who don't know, and that was around middle of March 2020. Okay, now let's see, how big was that drop exactly? That was about 35% drop, happened very quickly, and we rebounded just as quickly. So I'm going to tell you why this was not an actual pullback. This wasn't much of anything, in fact, okay? Yeah, it was a good short-term buying opportunity for a bounce, and actually I had bought this, hands full. I went pretty much all in when we were super low on this bounce, and I probably sold a little bit after. So how was I able to call that? Well, when you see the stock market drop so sharply, so quickly, I should say, then you're probably going to get a pretty quick bounce. The thing is here, we're not actually dropping that quickly. We're going down, we're bouncing, and we're just trending lower, okay? Now, yes, we get these days where we kind of crash and we take out support like we have literally just done. And by the way, I just noticed this on the weekly chart. So first off, of course, we're downtrending. That should be pretty obvious right now. Okay. And on top of that, you can also see that we are right at pretty much, we didn't test it just yet, but like I said, I'm not expecting necessarily tomorrow to be a green day. We might get a temporary little relief bounce and start, seeing more red next week. So keep in mind, right? Yes, we could get a bounce here, but I wouldn't count on it that much, seeing that we just lost this kind of double bottom. If we do get a bounce, I am not the most hopeful to necessarily break out of this downtrend over here. And if we do, right, then yes, we're probably going to see a massive pump. And that's going to go for most tech stocks out there, etc. However, with that being said, if we even end up to recover, the support level of around 364, let's call it $365 to be safe, because we don't want to be, taking the bare minimum here right now with what's going on, then I think we'll just probably trade range bound in this for quite some time, and then we'll see if we're able to get a breakout or breakdown. Okay, but right now we're still in breakdown mode, so I'm going to consider it as such. There's no reason for me whatsoever to, be kind of estimating here that we're going to just start getting some kind of massive rip when day after day, week over week, we literally drop more and more. And it's shocking me as a market veteran who's been around for years. I pretty much saw this whole bull run happen before my eyes. And in fact, by the end of it, I was not buying anymore. Okay. The only time I bought in the last few years was the COVID dip, just because I thought, okay, this is an actual oversold scenario. Mind you, we were literally substantially oversold on the actual chart. Okay. On the RSI indicator. And for those who don't know these indicators, you should absolutely check out my technical analysis master course. Less than $20, 30-day money back guarantee. Take advantage of this, okay? The price might go up very soon because this is just too cheap for this course. So link in the description. But, when it's becoming $25, $50, well, you had your opportunity to get it at the cheap price. But, when there's this much amount of value packed in it and you're learning all these indicators that could be life-changing, the price has to correspond with that. And yes, like I said, the only time I bought in the last few years was this dip right here. Why? Because first off, we were actually truly oversold with a very sharp drop. And I saw the exuberance in the market, okay? Even when we were back here and back here, I was staying far away from stocks just because I knew, how longer can we see this type of nonstop day after day uptrending? And guess what? Now the trend has flipped, okay? When did it flip? Exactly back here. You can put the date on the calendar, okay? We flipped literally at the beginning of this year. Literally on the day, pretty much. The beginning of this year, we saw it instantly reverse the trend. And guess what? Now instead of this steady uptrend, we're getting a not absolutely crashing fast like we got during over here. We're seeing a kind of steady move lower, which means that day over day, week over week, we're actually losing support levels and we're actually moving lower, which tells me that this might actually last a little bit longer than most people think. Are there buying opportunities and bounces to be had? Absolutely. Okay. Some of these stocks are probably going to be buys of a lifetime, probably already now, and maybe even in the next few months, even more. Okay. And we got Amlx Trader, regular viewer on the stream, supporting the live stream, saying smash that like button. I agree with him. Now, like I said, right now in the next day or two, since we have fallen, of course, quite a bit now, okay, we've dropped about 15% in the last few days alone on the S&P. We do have a bounce opportunity here at this 200-day moving average. Now, mind you, we have now started to test this 200-day moving average more and more times. If we look especially at the last 4 times, what happened? Well, the first time, we actually didn't hit the 200-day moving average. We came very close, but we didn't hit it. The second time, we actually hit the 200-day moving average. The third time, we actually crumbled completely below the 200-day moving average, okay? In fact, we fell about almost 20% below the 200-day moving average. And now, okay, well, I think you know what I'm going to say. We could move below and actually stay below the 200-day moving average, which would be pretty disastrous considering that we haven't actually really done that since 2008, okay? So we talked about stagflation. These are bigger macroeconomic terms that could end up happening. But I do want to make you aware and I do want to warn you about this stuff, okay? So as per usual, none of this is financial advice, but we're talking about these support levels here. So first support level ahead, if we lose the 200-day moving average, which literally could happen in a matter of a week or two, okay, is going to be $300 flat on the SPY ETF. You can do the conversion on what that would be for the S&P 500, but just for you to know, okay, that would be from where we are now about another 17, you can call it another 15% drop, okay? So that could happen pretty easily in the coming weeks. Now, we might actually see that, yes, this is the end of the drop, but maybe not, okay? Because if we don't get a super sharp bounce, we want to get as sharp as bounce as possible. If we don't get that, okay, well, guess what? We start losing that $300 support level. Then, due to the fact that we had such a steep bounce during COVID, we didn't actually put in any support levels, okay? So we don't really have much support until basically $230 or so. And yeah, at that point, it becomes a bit more serious. We're talking now about a 35% drop from where we're at now, okay? And that's on the S&P 500. So just imagine what that might do to tech stocks, Apple included, as far as since the peak that we got, 478 on the SPY, guess what? That's that 50% drop, the golden number that we're talked about. And that has been the case for the previous two big stock market crashes that we had in the past, pretty much 50% drops exactly on the dot. And that would bring us to $230 on the SPY. If we go on, do a double bottom of the March dip, that would maybe even be $215, okay? So that's what's ahead. I'll spare you the other scenarios of going even lower for now, because we don't necessarily have any signs that that would be the case necessarily. And we do have a little bit of a bullish divergence here on the RSI, but until we see the price recover a bit and hold, I'm not going to be putting out too many bullish case scenarios here, because, you know, I'm kind of telling you what I'm seeing on the chart based on my experience, okay? So hopefully you appreciate this analysis. If you do, hit that like button. We are not done. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts on what you think is going to happen next. And please, folks, let me know which stocks you want me to cover today. I'm doing this live stream for you, and any stocks you'd like me to take a look at, I will gladly do so. All you have to do is let me know down in the comments below that you want me to do an analysis on a certain stock, and I'll take a look at it later in this video. Now, in terms of these news pieces here, I talked about Apple getting that downgrade, which, you know, is pretty historical. They also mentioned very bad things for the Apple iPhone 14 release, okay? And when Apple is now saying, you know, there's some worrisome things in their company and their economy, you kind of see, you know, how other stocks react. That's why you have things like Shopify, Roblox, Rivian. You know, if any of you are in other even more, you know, tech speculative hype stocks, well, those are going to get hit even harder when Apple is kind of saying, you know what, it's not going too good right now, okay? And I want to now go ahead and show you a few stocks here. And like I said, take this opportunity to let me know down in the comments below which stocks you want me to do an analysis on during this live stream. Now is your opportunity. If you want to share your thoughts on what's going on with the stock market, because this is becoming pretty historical at this point, right? There's things in the economies that we have never had before, especially not during this 8-year bull run, okay? Governments are failing to, you know, have a monetary policy that is sustainable, and the stock market is seeing that. That's why we're dumping so much, okay? So until that changes, until we break out of this downtrend, you know, right now we are in bear mode now. We were already in bear mode for crypto, okay? Because of course I cover both stocks and crypto on this channel. We were already in bear mode on crypto, but guess what? Crypto is now kind of finding a short-term bottom, okay? Because it already dropped massively. So now what's kind of comical here is, you know, crypto has kind of maybe bottomed in the short term. Yes, it could still fall more, but literally stocks are playing catch up to crypto right now, okay? And that's just Bitcoin's chart. So going over to some other stocks, things like Meta. This is, of course, you know, a prime stock in terms of tech stocks to take a look at and talk about this type of stuff. Look at how bad it is, folks. We have, first off, almost no, you know, open gaps above. We have this little tiny open gap all the way back here, but this could even take years to reach again, you know? And at this point, not only are we downtrending, I mean, downtrending is an understatement of a lifetime here for Meta. Okay, this was previously Facebook, they changed the name, but we're, like I said, I'm shocked to see this on a stock so big, but it's what's happening before our eyes, so I can't deny it, right? I'm giving you the cold hard facts. Other people might try to sugarcoat this stuff. I want to give you the best information possible, okay? Not financial advice, but the best information based on what I'm seeing on the charts, so it might be helpful to you in some type of way. But right now, right, yes, we had this little support here at around $137. Guess what? We're actually now a little bit below that. So this is what I'm saying. It's always disappointing us right now. We're always falling more than we're expecting. And that's why I'm saying, that's why I showed you this S&P 500 chart. And I said, don't be surprised if we see more downside. You know, when Meta was over here, I honestly thought we were going to get a pretty big bounce. We barely bounced a couple percent and we started crumbling lower again, right? And guess what? We're not done yet. We already got a massive drop after earnings, and this drop is just continuing, okay? And now we're heading into even more dangerous territory because we don't actually have that many support levels, once again, because Meta went up so quickly and so steadily that, in fact, after $116 or so, $120, it might be a complete free fall for Meta stock, right? We could easily head to $70. Some people might even say lower. But I'm just telling you what's possible here, okay? So don't be surprised if that day ends up coming when we see that happen. Right now, we do have a bullish divergence on the RSI. But you need to wonder, okay, unless, like I said, we get a drop and then we get a very sharp bounce back into our support levels, which I would really want to see at this point. And then we could maybe trade in our range in our triangle formation, which we saw pretty much the same formation on Apple, except Apple was a little bit stronger. Then maybe we could break out of the downtrend and go higher. But right now, it's catching a falling knife, as they say in the stock market. The bleeding is not done, okay? And I want to see your comments right now. Thank you for our live 17 viewers. That's some of the most viewers we had in this live stream recently. So thank you for the support. If you like these videos, support the channel with a huge thumbs up. Consider dropping a super chat like our friend Wilhelm and regular viewer of the stream did. And you greatly support the channel by doing that. Also, please don't miss out on these live streams and hit that subscribe button, turn on these bell notifications, okay? I'm streaming very regularly for both stocks and crypto. Crypto today actually holding up pretty well. Okay, I posted a video analysis on it just last night. But as you can see here, stocks are actually underperforming heavily right now in the short term compared to crypto. And this is while the Nasdaq itself is dropping almost 3% on the day. This was almost a 3% close on the day for the Nasdaq, right? Like I said, we were actually lower than that earlier. So I can go ahead and pull up the chart actually. That's not a problem. And you'll see here that if I draw this out on today's candle, look at that. I'm even, you know, underestimating myself. We're actually down 4% today at one point. And once again, we can see here on the Nasdaq, we're kind of right on this double bottom support level, which I had drawn that out for Apple and said that it was a potential bounce area, except there's one thing. You might be seeing this saying, oh, well, why is the right trader so bearish right now, right? We have this double bottom. Well, guess what? If you pay a little bit more close attention, which I'm sure most of you did not see this, we lost support of the 200-day moving average here on the Nasdaq. We are actually below it right now as we speak. So yes, in the ultra short term, maybe the next 1 to 3 days, if we get a bounce, then I'll say, okay, maybe we're done dropping for right now. But seeing that historically, right, we've had 50% drops on these type of indexes before. In fact, if you look at back here during the .com boom, okay, now of course the S&P, the Nasdaq has the biggest gains, up over 1,500% in the last decade or so. But guess what? When it gets, you know, when the bubble pops, so to say, on these tech stocks, we saw it. I mean, this was literally the .com boom back in the 2000 days. Guess what? That was an 80% drop. This looks like the Bitcoin chart. This looks like crypto, guys. That's an 80% drop on the Nasdaq. Okay? I'm not saying we're going to get an 80% drop again. But, you know, if someone says, oh, well, right now we're already down 30%, let's say we get a 60% drop, right? Maybe up to this level right here. Very possible. Could we go even a bit lower? a bit more to a logical level that we need to retest, which is actually our previous high of the dot-com bubble. You might be seeing stuff that is, you know, kind of groundbreaking here in the sense that I don't know that many people that are digging the charts like this and giving you this type of in-depth information. So in fact, if you look at the Nasdaq, not even an ETF, the Nasdaq 100 index itself, and of course, guess what that includes? Stocks like Apple. We have never actually come back and tested this level. We just went on a steady uptrend above that. Yes, we got a few pullbacks along the way, but we held the 200-day moving average throughout. Guess when we didn't hold the 200-day moving average? Back here during the 2000-day dot-com bubble bust and back in 2008. And we could be heading into something like that, okay? I mean, if this doesn't look like an exponential blow off top to you, I don't know what is. Now, as long as we have this type of thing happen, a lot of assets are going to take a hit. Could that be the case for cryptos? Well, we know Bitcoin could go back down to around $10,000. It's possible. Right now, short term, it looks like it kind of bottomed, but that's because it already dropped a lot, right? Like I said, right now, talking about stocks, focusing in on stocks during this live stream, stocks are actually playing catch up to crypto right now. And I appreciate all the viewership here. Thank you so much for the regular viewers. You still have a lot of time. We are not done yet, folks. Let me know in the comments down below which stocks you want me to take a look at during this live stream. Now is your opportunity. Don't be shy. We have all of our regular viewers here. Blue Iron Lux, Wilhelm, who gave a great super chat, $5 donation, and Lineways, all here in the stream. So I want you to take advantage. If there's any stocks you want me to cover, now is your chance, okay? And we got Wilhelm saying AMD. Guess what? I was actually going to cover AMD. I had actually already started typing it in before. But as far as this Nasdaq chart, okay, this is very key for potentially crypto, but also any tech stocks out there, any type of hype stocks, okay, things like Tesla, etc. Well, guess what? Getting a 70% drop, almost losing, you know, well, that's over half of the current value we have, okay? If we lose the 200-day moving average and we really continue in this downtrend, then yes, I'm afraid that we may actually see a retest at a peak bottom. I don't think we necessarily go lower than this, but I think we could retest the 2000-day top and close this little gap here. Probably be a great buying opportunity for the decades to come, but we'd have to see what the macroeconomic situation is at that time. And of course, that is not financial advice, okay? Maybe a little bit more conservative target in terms of not being overly bearish, right? You could take this $8,000 level on the chart, maybe a little bit lower, give or take. It depends where we would bounce exactly. Could be as low as 7,600, or maybe we just bounce on $8,000 flat. I'd be more inclined to say 7,800 or so, maybe even 7,500. But that's a more maybe conservative estimate, and that would be a 50% drop. So maybe more in line with what we were looking at with the SPY. You know, that would mean that these tech stocks are getting a bit better than in the 2000 days, but we know that there's a lot of junk in the stock market, right? And that's why the Nasdaq with all these hype tech stocks tends to completely deflate when the bubble pops. I mean, can you imagine a more similar looking chart? I'm not inventing stuff. So I mean, if you're mad that I'm saying the market is going to drop, do you not see what I'm drawing on the chart right now? This is literally a picture copy of what happened back in the 2000 days. Look at this. I mean, I don't know how clear I have to make this. This is night and day, the same thing all over again, okay? It literally looks almost the exact same to the dot. In fact, this one right here was more exuberant, more sharp of an upside move than the actual 2000-day dot-com pump back in the day, okay? So there we go. You have it right here. You have a beautiful chart of the Nasdaq, and you also have the downside price targets. Right now, you know, going and making new all-time highs. Does that sound realistic to anyone right now on the Nasdaq? I mean, look at the chart. If we were to even do that somehow, which I think is completely impossible, but if we were to see that happen in the next few months, then can you imagine the type of drop we would see thereafter? It's already pretty nasty now. We talked about how we might drop 70%. You know, just imagine what that could look like if we end up by any means pumping higher, okay? Because everything has to come back to reality sooner or later. We have a lot of comments here. We have Stressful in the stream asking for some crypto reviews. I'm not going to be covering cryptos in depth in this live stream. So on the next live stream, I'll gladly cover any cryptos you want. We have Iron Lux Trader saying, I think if the S&P 500 drops and catches up to crypto, then crypto is going to dump more then bottom out before the next bull run. Thank you for that comment, Iron Lux Trader. That's why I love hearing from all of you, the viewers. We're a community here. We love to interact with each other. We like to share our market opinions. I think that'll make for the best decisions for everybody, hopefully. And once again, none of this is financial advice, but hopefully you appreciate the Right Trader community here. We have amazing people in the stream, regulars like Iron Lux and Wilhelm. Wilhelm is actually saying big buying opportunities in the next couple of years. I personally agree with that. Okay, at the right time, on the right stocks and the right cryptos. I myself have put in money already here. Yes, some of them have done good, some of them have dropped a little bit more, but if they're good stuff that I want to hold for long term, I don't mind getting them now. And if they drop a bit more, or if there's other opportunities, yeah, this could be an absolutely huge buying opportunity for the next few years. Why is that? Because after these very rough drops, okay, especially with big, you know, stocks that are more likely to rebound, well, guess what? You get some of the biggest gains in the coming decades, okay? But you really need to make sure you actually bottomed out, because here we're talking about potential stagflation. That could be years of flat price action, which would be extremely annoying, right? That would just be up and down and up and down and up and down, okay? So hopefully that doesn't happen. If it's possible, if we see signs of that, I'll of course update you. That's what I'm here for, okay? And please do yourself the favor, if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. I'm literally streaming every day now, if not twice a day. And honestly, you're seeing the value in this stream. Don't miss out on this stuff. Now, I'm now going to go and cover the stock that Wilhelm wanted to see. I'm sure a lot of you are interested in this. This is Amd Stock, a stock that actually one of the best performers in the last few years. Right, went from literally $2. I still remember when the stock, when it was $2. I never thought we'd see the day where it went above $100, but it did. Okay, it's a good company, obviously. Kind of changed the game with PCs, but it is a tech stock after all. It's a very hype tech stock, and when you go from $2 to $165, right? This is like all these crypto altcoins all over again. 6,500% move. Well, guess what? There's going to have to be some type of pullback, right? And this or this is not a pullback, folks. Okay, that's nothing. That's just a stepping stool on the staircase to the pump. Okay, it's nothing to be considered seriously, right? On this whole move, we had barely gotten, we never even went below the middle Bollinger Band. Okay, so you know, keep that in mind. Now, if we look at what's happening right now with AMD, okay, and where are support levels, well, first off, this drop was extremely sharp. That's not AMD's fault. That's because, you know, the semiconductor market took a big hit. I think it's personally overdone. I think some of these semiconductor stocks, including AMD and NVIDIA, are probably some of the best stocks to own in the coming decades, okay? Computers aren't going anywhere. The need for high computer processing power, you know, GPUs, etc., is absolutely needed. Still with crypto, with things like Bitcoin. So I don't think the need for that is going anywhere. And these things are going to recover like never before, probably eventually. But right now, right, you could call it manipulation or not, there was fear and panic in the semiconductor market, and it already caused AMD to drop 60%. The only good thing about this, you know, this very sharp drop is, like I said, the sharper the drop, the more likely it is to get a pretty sharp rebound sooner rather than later. Now, it's gone up so much in the last 7 years. You could say, well, are we going back to $2, $10? No, not necessarily. Why? Because AMD has already fallen, very much like Bitcoin, etc. It's already fallen a tremendous amount. Unlike Apple, unlike Tesla, unlike the S&P 500, which managed to hold on to their gains somehow, right? Probably through retail buyers just throwing money at them without thinking twice. But now those ones are really playing catch up. AMD already got a pretty substantial pullback now. How much lower can it go? Well, I think it's pretty clear we're probably going to hit this $50 level, okay? We lost the 100-day move, sorry, we lost the 50-day moving average. Looks quite likely to me that we would get this this $50 level. And after that, you know, we could also, if we lose $50, we could end up going down to $35. That could be the peak bottom. You know, in a very bad case scenario for AMD, we maybe would come back and test this long-term uptrend line. Okay, so we've got two uptrend lines. We've got this medium-term one, which was the last few years, the last 2 years. And then we've got this longer-term one, okay? And if things got really bad in the stock market, yeah, we could probably hit $25 on the dot for an absolute peak bottom. And then, you know, of course, you'd have a huge amount of upside potential after that on the way back up. You know, we're talking over 500% plus gains. So that would be the peak bottom target. Maybe more conservative, around $35. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll only hit $50 and start bouncing from there. Okay, but right now we have lost the 200-day moving average on AMD. So that's just something to keep in mind. Wilhelm is saying AMD has great CPUs, outdoing Intel, also likely to have new GPUs announced soon to complete with NVIDIA 4000 series. Definitely agree. AMD has completely turned the company around, and in the long term, I'm not worried about a company like this. Okay, there's only very few companies who are properly, you know, running the whole semiconductor, GPU, etc., CPU space, and AMD is one of them. Okay, AMD and NVIDIA are kind of the top dogs, and I think those are going to become, of course, some of the bigger performers when we get our next bull market. That goes both for stocks and cryptos. So thank you so much for that comment, Wilhelm. I liked covering AMD. Definitely a very, very interesting stock, a game changer stock, and thank you so much for that super chat earlier as well. Now, we have Lineways, who had said a comment earlier, who's saying, I think Bitcoin will never see all-time highs again, but alts will after decoupling, even that after that 65K level. I don't necessarily agree with that, just because, you know, for crypto, briefly talking about crypto here, you know, we need Bitcoin to do well for other coins to really, really outperform. Yes, we've seen a bit of decoupling, right? But for the most part, we still need to see Bitcoin do well if we want to see the entire market do well also, okay? So there's no need to have a war. It's very similar for stocks, right? You need SPY, you need Apple to do good if you want these other tech stocks like AMD, NVIDIA to do good as well, okay? It's all correlated. These things are based into ETFs that are created by institutions and banks, and you know, they have all these stocks together. They tend to sell stuff together as well. So it's all correlated. It all goes hand in hand, okay? So I'm taking a little water break. 17 live viewers, a whole bunch of comments today. I'm sure you're all, you know, kind of potentially concerned and want to know about what's going on. That's why I'm doing this live stream, okay? For those who might have just joined more recently, you know, we were talking about the S&P 500. You can see here drawn out our kind of support level targets, price targets in terms of downside if we get more drop. And by all means, it's looking like it's quite possible here, even likely. And you know, we could easily be heading down to $230 to $215 on the S&P 500, okay? That is fully a reasonable and even maybe conservative estimate, or maybe I should say a realistic estimate for what's going on, okay? The RSI is, you know, very sketchy at best, and the MACD is absolutely disgusting. We just turned red again on the histogram. That's these little red lines over here. If you don't know about this stuff, please do yourself a favor. Check out the Technical Analysis Master Course, okay? Great reviews from over 240 students. Full 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free, and it's less than 20 bucks, okay? A trading fees used to be $10 to trade back in the day. So this is just showing you how cheap this is for the amount of information you'll learn. Over 2.5 hours of video content, 15 video lessons in total. Of course, you can always follow me on Twitter and on TikTok now for shorter time frame videos. So go ahead and check those out as well. Link in the description. Support the channel, support my social media channels. And of course, we are not done with this stream. Let me know in the comments down below here if there's any other stocks you want me to talk about. Of course, there's a lot of you who follow me for crypto, so I might as well go ahead and cover Coinbase stock, okay? I could also go ahead and cover Riot as well. Why not? We might as well, since we're here and since there's all of you, you know, probably glued to the screen right now, maybe glued to the screen the whole day with how the markets have been, and, you know, we're going to talk about all this stuff, okay? So I just wanted to bring up cryptos because cryptos themselves are actually holding up quite well. That wasn't the case for Bitcoin. Sorry, for Coinbase. Coinbase is being notoriously shorted by people like Jim Chanos and other institutions. So it's been non-stop dropping. I mean, it got that one little bounce there, which was a pretty substantial bounce, but that did not hold. And, you know, who knows? Maybe this could be a forewarning to what might happen with crypto. But right now, in terms of specifically for Coinbase stock, okay, now on the plus side, we do have two things. We have a flattening out of the Bollinger Bands. which tends to mean that there might be some consolidation, might be able to hold up a bit. And we have uptrend on the RSI, very bullish divergence actually. Well, maybe not so bullish because we got a slight uptrend here on the chart, but I don't think that's going to hold. Yes, the RSI was a bit stronger, even the MACD, but still, you know, we're so close to our support level here at $50 that I think we're going to at least retest $50. I hope we don't drop below that, because after that, it's kind of uncharted territory, right? If we start moving lower into $40 and, you know, any bit lower than that, well, it's uncharted territory for Coinbase stock, okay? And you saw what happened when we reached uncharted territory before. You know, we've seen huge drops every time we lost those support levels, okay? So could that happen again? Possibly, if we go back below $40 or even $50. Now, I'm going to cover Riot. We got Crypto Plumber asking about main stock. I'll gladly cover that. Let's just cover Riot because there might be some holders of Riot. I've talked about it before on the channel. I actually had predicted the whole run up. Okay, if you've been a subscriber, you'd have seen that. So make sure to subscribe. Right now, we saw a good amount of buying volume come into Riot in the last few days. Okay, now it's kind of flattening out. Once again, a stock that is probably too close for comfort on its support level. Now it is holding up surprisingly well. It held up better than Coinbase, but it's surprisingly close to you know, its support level. With that being said, the funny thing is, you know, Riot, maybe even Coinbase stock in a way, these things are probably even performing better than or I should say, at least in terms of the chart setup, especially here for Riot, it's better than you know, stocks like Apple or even the S&P 500 in terms of the chart setup, okay? Meaning that they're holding their support levels while those other indexes are not. Now, of course, there is a reason for that. We have fallen over 90% for Riot. So there really might not be that much more downside to squeeze out on a stock like this, okay? Which is kind of what we talked about with AMD. Now, we're going to take a look at Main. Thank you for that stock recommendation, Crypto Plumber. We're going to take a look at it, dive into the chart, okay? And, of course, smash that like button if you haven't already, folks. Support the live stream. Consider dropping a super chat. You're getting this content for free, and I'm doing this as my full-time job every day, so any support is greatly appreciated. And that's why I want to say a big thank you to people who drop super chats like Wilhelm. Now, looking at Main, this is an interesting stock. This is actually a dividend-paying stock, if I'm not mistaken. Let us know, Crypto Plumber, how much Main's dividend, Main stock dividend is at right now. I'd be interested to know. But this stock has had a pretty good performance historically, okay? It's actually, you know, a bit of a fan favorite in the market. And the only time something bad happened with it was back during the COVID crash, okay? It had a very sharp drop. However, this was in the category of stocks, right? These really high paying dividend stocks that also bounced the fastest as well, okay? So what I'm saying here is, you know, basically, when you see this type of ultra sharp drop, you tend to get these bounces. These type of dividend paying stocks, since they do pay a really high dividend, these might be some of the best stocks to buy when they drop a lot, okay? So I actually like this quite a bit. Now, not necessarily right now, because we have to see where it starts getting some support. Probably not a horrible level right now. Probably a quite decent level. But, you know, if you're able to catch it a bit lower, that could be getting into really good buy territory, okay? So once again, not financial advice. I'm just sharing you what I'm seeing on the chart. And by the way, one of those potential buy levels, smash that like button, because I'm sharing this type of stuff with you. Once again, please remember, not financial advice, okay? Now, if we look at this, that's at around $29. So since this is a dividend paying stock, etc., there might not be that much downside left, okay? Maybe we're only going to drop an extra 10% here, and then we'll really start flattening out. We also have a huge amount of support in that area here at around, you know, $28, $25. So I don't necessarily think there's that much more downside ahead. If we see huge market panic, maybe we could get something like what happened with COVID again. I actually personally think it's not going to happen for this type of stock. So that's what I have to say about Main stock. You know, I covered Tesla earlier on the channel. So if you're interested in that, go check out that video. Literally posted it today. We talked about how Tesla had held up its gains so much that now it's seeing these monstrous drops. You know, the last 2 days were absolutely horrific for Tesla stock. Okay, we're literally down. Listen up, folks. Sorry, I'm on the weekly time frame. In the last 2 weeks, though, we're down 15%. So I don't know what else you want to tell me. In the last few days alone, the last week, basically, you know, we're basically down that same amount, right? A little bit less. So very, very ugly. Huge downtrend on the RSI. Huge downtrend on the MACD. That's what's happening with these type of stocks that saw monstrous pumps during the bull market. Okay. Once again, I need to know which stocks you want me to cover. It's hard for me to know. There's so many stocks out there doing a whole bunch of stuff, going up and down, especially down today, of course. And you can look at some of the worst performers, CarMax, SolarEdge. So, you know, these tech stocks, renewable stocks doing very badly. Royal Caribbean also dropping a lot. Let me know in the comments down below, okay, which stocks you want me to take a look at. There's too many stocks for me to know exactly which stocks you want me to take a look at, so I need to know through your comments. Okay, we already covered the SPY, we covered the Nasdaq. If you missed any of that, please rewind the live stream, or you can rewatch it after the stream is done. They're always re-uploaded, okay? So subscribe, and you can go ahead and rewatch that after the live stream if you missed anything. But we have Wilhelm asking for ExxonMobil, anything in energy. Thank you so much for that comment, Wilhelm, and we're going to be taking a look at that today. That's a great thing to look at. Now, just briefly, since we're diving into, you know, stocks and macroeconomic in this video, metals held up pretty well today, actually. And oil, okay, I forgot what it was trading at exactly earlier today, but, you know, still holding up pretty well. And I think we might be seeing potentially another little pump in oil in the weeks ahead, okay? So listen up, because that's key for what might happen here. Maybe more inflation, etc. Okay, that could put additional pressure on the market. By the way, XRP pumping, I saw a comment on that before. That's indeed confirmed, and I said it would. Okay, I said we're going back above 50 cents on XRP, which is why I'm telling you to subscribe and turn on the freaking bell notifications to not miss out on this type of valuable information. So please do yourself the favor and subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, and hit that like button to support the live stream. We're going to dive now into a bit of oil stocks, okay, and what's going on, because these have been some of the better performers now most recently. And, you know, we'll see what comes about that in the next few weeks, because, you know, stocks, these oil stocks had pulled back a bit, but these things are money-making machines, okay? And they pay quite high dividends as well. So thank you for that comment, Wilhelm, because I'll gladly cover these stocks. It's very important to know what's going on with these type of energy stocks, more specifically oil-related stocks, like ExxonMobil being one of the biggest. Sorry, folks, just taking a water break here, talking nonstop and doing these live streams every day. But thank you so much for all the support. Wow, we just got another huge super chat from Crypto Plumber. Huge thank you for the support. It means everything to me. You are literally helping me do this on a daily basis for all of you. And, you know, it really warms my heart that I'm getting this level of support. Thank you so much for that super chat of $10, Crypto Plumber. Thank you for supporting the live stream. And everybody else, also thank Crypto Plumber if you could, okay? Greatly appreciated. People like Crypto Plumber and Wilhelm make it possible for me to keep doing these streams on a daily basis for all of you. And hopefully you appreciate and see the value in that, okay? Like I said, most YouTubers, for both stocks and cryptos, they go hiding in a ditch when the market drops, okay? And if they don't go hiding in a ditch, well, they give you some kind of BS sugar-coated reason on what's going on. I'm not about that, okay? I have been in the market literally since years ago. I've seen the whole crypto bear market, the whole crypto market pumps. Been around pretty much since the beginning of the whole stock market run up, okay? I knew about Bitcoin when it was at 200 bucks. So I'm telling you from my own experience what's going on here. And I've traded all these stocks and I made all the mistakes before you, okay? Oil stocks, anything you could think of, I've probably traded them and I've probably seen how they move. Now, for ExxonMobil specifically here, there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about on this chart. This could also give you a hint on what might happen with oil if you're invested in oil or you want to know how it moves, just in case potentially it could affect your stocks. or, you know, it does affect the stock market as a whole. If oil is pumping in here, it probably means inflation is pretty high. It probably means stocks are going to dump more. Okay. So looking at oil, natural gas as well being one of the key things in that, right? Not only oil itself, but natural gas is even more important probably. But for ExxonMobil, first off, we closed all gaps above, okay? Actually, we closed all gaps except this most recent one, which we're actually in the process of closing it. So we still have a little bit higher to go. I believe this is fully going to get closed. That'll put us back above $90. Guess what? We have gaps below, which might mean, you know, we're going to see downside. Yes, it's possible. But right now for oil stocks, I'm thinking, you know, that upside is much more likely than downside, basically. Okay. And we have some more gaps even a bit lower here, as low as $57. Okay. Now after that, there's not that much to be worried about because most of those shorter term gaps, now we have some here in the past at $50 or so, but are we going to go all the way back there? I mean, yeah, if oil completely falls off a cliff, then possibly. But right now in the short term, like I said, it's a whole different story than stocks. Okay. Now, don't get bored here because we have some good stuff coming up. Literally, okay. Look at what's happening on the S&P 500. We're going to get back to oil in a second, but I want to show you this. I want to show you these patterns so you all learn, okay? We see here that we lost the double bottom on the SPY, okay? Whether we get a short-term bounce or not, it's not really relevant. This is already a bounce sign, okay? We're below the 200-day moving average on the daily time frame. The 200-day moving average is literally acting as super hard resistance, preventing us from going higher for the S&P. You know what? For fun, let's go over to the Nasdaq, see what's happening, okay? And guess what? Very similar story here for the Nasdaq. Now, going to one of our oil stocks to show you the difference here, and hopefully this is why you follow these videos. This is why you subscribe to this channel, because you don't see this type of stuff. People just don't know about this, okay? It takes years of experience to see all these different patterns. Like I said, if we see stocks drop more, it's likely that oil actually ends up pumping, okay? Why is that? Because it means inflation is probably going to be running hot. There might be macroeconomic fears of fights, etc. And guess what? The 200-day moving average, the red moving average line here, please do yourself a favor. If you don't know enough about moving averages, you really should consider my technical analysis master course. I have a whole entire video dedicated on moving averages, the important time frames, etc. So check that out, okay? Like I said, it's literally risk-free. 30-day money-back guarantee, less than $20, okay? We had great reviews from our students. You can literally click and read the reviews from all the students if you want to. There's a link to that in the description of this video. With that being said, guess what? For oil-related stocks, we could do the chart on oil or natural gas itself, but for oil-related stocks, okay, the big ones like ExxonMobil, perfect example. The 200-day moving average is acting as support. We're literally pumping and ripping off the 200-day moving average. Do you want this to be any more clear? Okay. We just look at the S&P 500. You saw how it was acting at the 200-day moving average. In fact, we're substantially below the 200-day moving average on the S&P 500. For ExxonMobil, one of the key oil stocks, we're moving towards closing the gap fill. And honestly, I think we're going to go higher after that, right? I think unlike for the SPY, where we may not end up breaking back above the all-time highs, guess what? I don't think this this high here of 100 and let's see the exact number, $105 is going to be the peak high, okay? That's not what I said for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. I said, yeah, we probably put in the peak high. And guess what? This high was a full-blown all-time high, right? Yet oil was not at an all-time high yet. So we might be seeing numbers that we've never seen before in oil prices. And guess what that's going to mean for stocks like ExxonMobil, okay? These oil stocks have been making literally tens of billions of dollars in profit a quarter, not even a year, a quarter, okay? I don't think any of us can actually wrap our head around that amount of money, but that's what's happening. Very strong charts, very steady uptrends. This is a whole different story than what we've been seeing with tech stocks, etc. Okay? Kind of a bulletproof chart, actually, for the most part. On the monthly time frame, steadily above the 200-day moving average. Weekly time frame, still steadily above the 200-day moving average, okay? So yes, we could get fears, we could get panics, we could get pullbacks, we could go down to $70 or so. I don't think we're going to see the same type of panic for this type of stock, right? Same thing for some of those dividend paying stocks. In the past, I talked about things like SPHD, one of my all-time favorites. Now, this one is getting a pretty sharp pullback. There's a lot of oil stocks in this one. So I believe, you know, it's probably going to make a run for this little gap over here at around $34. Don't think it's going to go much lower than that, okay? One of my all-time favorite stocks ever, Realty Income. Now, keep in mind, right, the stock market is dropping so much that even some of the better stocks are crumbling, okay? Down 20%. But these things are going to find a bottom, I believe, much quicker than potentially some of our tech stocks, okay? Potentially faster than the S&P 500 itself. Talk about a decoupling. That's a decoupling we might be seeing, right? Look at this, and look at this as well. Oil now starting to go back up again, literally what I said. And of course, Dow Jones literally down half less than the Nasdaq, okay? So people want to talk about decoupling stocks, cryptos, altcoins, whatever. This is true decoupling, okay? When you got something like the Dow Jones that's sometimes green and the Nasdaq is red, which has been happening recently, or, you know, down half as much, okay? That's a true difference here. And like I said, stocks like Realty Income, they already got a pretty big drop during March, okay, 2020. We have a little gap here at around $52. Is it that big of a deal? You know, I don't think so. I mean, that's like a 30% drop. We're talking about a potential 70% drop on the Nasdaq, okay? So you need to know what you're holding, okay? Do your own due diligence. Do the research if you need to, because none of this is financial advice. This is just my own personal opinions, sharing my experience, okay? But please, if you enjoy this video, smash that like button. I'll give you another minute or two to recommend any stocks that you may want me to cover. Covered a lot of stuff though. We covered the S&P 500. Once again, I'll pull up the chart just so you can write down, if you want to, these potential support levels as we potentially head lower. We talked about the Nasdaq. We talked about oil stocks. We talked about many tech stocks, including Apple, Tesla, AMD, Nvidia. Oil, of course. Metals, gold holding up pretty well also. You know, they haven't been performing the best, but they've been holding up. And while we wait for our potential last few stocks to cover during this live stream, I want to thank you all for the steady support in viewers throughout this live stream. We're steadily above 15 viewers at any given point. And right now we're giving you the opportunity to not be shy, okay? And let us know in the comments down below what you want us to cover before we end this live stream, okay? So listen up, folks. Right now, I want you all to go ahead and let me know if there's any other stocks you want me to cover, okay? I will gladly do so. And also, we'll take a second while you write down your comments for any other stocks you want me to cover. Please, in the comment section down below, you can also thank Crypto Plumber and Wilhelm Leibniz for supporting the live stream, okay? Together, they gave over $15 to support the live stream today. I greatly appreciate super chats like that. It literally helps me to do this on a regular basis for all of you daily. So thank you so much to both Crypto Plumber and to Wilhelm for the support on today's live stream. I hope I will see you soon, many time again. And we just got two people here, Pepito Grillo saying nice technicals on Amlx. I can take a look at that. And then Bearded Cryptologist asking about Plug. Plug is a really, you know, kind of legendary stock for me, just because I was trading Plug when it was back at $2. That's when I was a complete newbie in stocks. So fun fact there. And, you know, I had probably gotten pretty much wrecked on it. And funny enough, that's actually one of the stocks that actually ended up surviving over time. I used to trade stupid penny stocks and do horrible on them. But, you know, ironically, Plug is one of the stocks that went from $2 all the way up to literally, you know, it became almost a meme stock up to $75. So missed out on that completely, but it's a learning experience, right? And that's why I'm sharing everything I learned with all of you. So Plug itself, you know, very much kind of a renewable stock. You might want to call it a tech stock. It has quite a bit of support in this area, but guess what? Watch out for these open gaps below. Pretty much considering it guaranteed, in my opinion, that we're going to see us move down to 17 bucks. That could probably mean that would go down to 15 bucks, okay? So a stock like Plug that's had such a crazy pump, it's left some gaps open below, okay? So you need to be really careful here. Depending on how bad things get with tech stocks, etc., these gaps could all get filled, right? Sorry, this last one is not accurate, but we have, you know, gap at 11 bucks, gap at 10 bucks, and a gap all the way down to, sorry, this might not fully be a gap, but I'll put it here in mind, around $6. So this could fall quite a bit more. It does have some support here. Probably short term we'll find some consolidation around $15, $17. Okay, thank you for that comment, Bearded Cryptologist. Now, we have another comment talking about Amlx. I don't actually know this stock, have no idea what it is. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like it's some kind of pharma stock. Okay, it's not a penny stock. Yeah, it looks pretty strong. Like I said, I have no idea what this company is. Biotech stocks are not the type of stocks that I traded the most. We got a bit of a double top here, though. However, with that being said, this uptrend is very strong. Even on the indicators, we're still holding up. Now, I don't know if there's some type of fundamental news, because these biotech stocks, well, a lot of it has to do with trials, etc., that could be influencing the performance, and this could completely, you know, these stocks can be completely uncorrelated to the rest of the market, just because it's a whole different playing field. Okay, so yeah, could it break out above $33 and get a massive rip higher? It's possible, right? In fact, maybe we're creating a cup and handle formation. Pepito, who gave this stock, which he said nice technicals on Amlx, I agree. Yeah, we could be seeing a cup and handle pattern here, okay? Maybe we'll get a little bit more of a pullback, or maybe this was it, and then we're going to get that breakout. That could happen. We have the setup for that. And by the way, mind you, I drew this on one of the previous charts earlier this week. The way you draw out the potential estimated price target for this type of setup, it's pretty crazy. You draw it from the neckline down to the bottom, and you then extend it up. So we'll go ahead and do this now on this biotech stock. Like I said, I know nothing about this stock, so go easy on me if I'm saying anything, you know, that doesn't make sense, because I don't know the specific situation fundamentally with this stock. I usually try to look at both technicals and fundamentals, but we're looking at a potential price target here if we break out above $32 of a move up to $57, let's call it 60 bucks, okay? So it could still fully double here if we get that breakout. However, keep in mind, we have two very, very big gaps below. These might need to be closed at some point. However, these gaps have served, due to it being such a strong stock, as pushing it to newer highs, okay? It's looking like that might happen again. Now, the chart looks disgusting here, so let me just delete some of those to make it a little bit less messy, just in case we ever revisit this chart. But thank you for that comment. Definitely a very strong looking chart. Like I said, I don't usually trade biotech stocks that much, and I don't know the details on this specific stock, but technically, yeah, it is looking pretty strong, except for the two gaps below, okay? Now, Jay Sidhu saying, cover Ethereum, please. Thank you so much for your comment, Jay. But unfortunately, this is not a crypto stream. I briefly talked about crypto. You should go ahead and take a look at the Ethereum price prediction video I made yesterday. I talked briefly about the bearish scenario and the bullish scenario long term. So please check that out on my channel. You can find a link to that on the front page of my channel. So just go ahead, click the name here and The Right Trader, and go ahead and check that out, okay? And on the next live stream, I'll be sure to cover Ethereum for you. But thank you so much for your comment regardless. We have Bearded Crypto saying thank you. I got puts on Plug. I'm holding overnight. Well, then you might be happy with what I just said. But once again, not financial advice for me personally. And also with options, folks, be very careful. I've gotten wrecked before on options. I've done well sometimes, but I've also gotten wrecked on options. You need to be very, very careful to not take options that are too risky, okay? They can literally lose all of their value, so please be careful out there, right? do things at your own risk. It's your money. You take on your own risk. I'm not involved. I'm not giving any financial advice out here. And we have Pepito Guerrilla saying, thanks. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for the live stream. Especially big thank you to Crypto Plumber and Wilhelm for the support. Also, let me know down in the comments, do you want me to do a crypto stream today? You know, I made one just last night, so I don't know if it's necessary, but let me know, okay? You're the viewers, and if I have the time, if I'm not too tired, I'll try and do it, but I've been streaming off the hook, so maybe you'll have to wait till tomorrow, right? But things haven't changed that much from my previous stream. However, definitely, you know, let me know down in the comments below. I don't mind taking a look for all of you, okay? So, basically, you know, take a look and let me know. Let me know if you want me to try and do that later today. And I'll try if I can, or I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. But let me know if you want to see another crypto video. So kind of like this one where I talk about the whole market, but more specifically for crypto. All you need to know is let me know down in the comments below, okay? This is your chance to let me know what you want to see before we end the stream. So hurry up, folks, and type in your comments if you want to see another crypto analysis for Bitcoin, ETH, etc. as soon as possible, if not preferably today. Let me know. But I did a lot of videos today, so we'll see. With that being said, crypto still holding up, funny enough. Bitcoin holding 19,500. By the way, you're getting a little bit of you know, a hint maybe to my next crypto live stream here by being a steady viewer. But if Bitcoin manages to get above 19,700, could be a pretty big deal for crypto. We really might see that 20K come up and actually break above that, okay? For Ethereum right now, it's you know, very much in line with Bitcoin, actually outperforming a bit in the last 7 days. Could actually outperform thereafter as well. And you know, for Ethereum, getting back above 1,400 bucks, which we're moving towards that now, is also going to be that key level to start getting a more serious pump again. And actually, as I'm looking at the chart here, altcoins arguably even looking better than Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Look at charts like Uniswap, stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff there. Polygon doing absolutely great. I think this one is going to get a big rip here. But with that being said, thank you so much for your support, everybody, today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wilhelm, Crypto Plumber. I'll see you all soon. Thank you to our regular viewers. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those bell notifications. Don't miss these live streams. And of course, follow me on Twitter. If you like short videos, go ahead, follow me on TikTok as well. Link to everything in the description down below. Thank you so much for your viewership and support. And I'll be seeing you all next time. See you soon. Have a great day, everybody.